This is Excel Chapter 9, Guided Project 9-3, second video. We're going to begin at step number 8. So if we remember from our last movie, we have two files open. One file that begins with your name and has Clemson 9, and then one that's Clemson 9 macros, which has all the macros in it. So that's the file we need to return to now, because we're going to copy and edit that macro. So the way that I like to do it and still have my screen intact is down here on the taskbar, find the Excel thumbnail, and then pick the files that you have open are going to show. I'm going to click the one that has Clemson at the beginning and click on it, and then it pulls it to the front. All right. Once again, we're on the Developer tab, Macro button. It brings up the macros that we have. We only have the quarter label. We're going to go ahead and do Edit. We want to make sure you have your little window open, so I just went to the bottom right corner. When I get to the little arrow that's at a diagonal, I click and drag. Starting where it says sub, so when you are building these macros, it always begins with the term sub or function and then the name, and it ends with end sub or end function. So we want to grab from the row, the line that says sub, all the way through end sub. You want to make sure you get all of that. Every sub needs an end. Every function needs an end. So you need to get both of those. We're going to go ahead and do a Control-C to do a copy. We're going to click below the end sub, and I usually put a little space, and then Control-V. Once you do that, you're going to see a line appear that's going to separate the two subs. We're going to need to make some changes. So we can't have two things called quarter label. So we're going to change this to week label. And then we're going to change all of this in here to match this text. Please be very careful in your typing. So we're going to be taking these things that say quarterly, and we're going to change it to weekly, right? So week label, change the W here, and we change the word quarterly. So if you look at figure 9-43, it has all of the changes that you need to make. The name of the sub, the name inside this little green, these are comments, so those are ignored by the system. They're like documentation, internal documentation, so when you look at it, you know what's what. If it's green, it's not going to be executed. So I think I have everything done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a quick save. I'm going to close out of my Visual Basic, and I return to this macro. So now if I look at this macro, I should have two items there, right? Week label and quarterly. All right. So now I want to return back to, after I verify, by just clicking on macros, I can see them both, cancel. I'm going to come back to your file name, so I'm just going to click in the back because it's up here. I'm going to create a new blank worksheet, and we're going to call this one week run, right? And now we're going to try Control Shift W. Oops. Control Shift W. And it does not run. And it's not supposed to. Okay, so don't freak out. Just because we changed this in the comment, remember I said this green is a comment area, just because we change it here doesn't mean the system understands that, hey, this is going to be using a W now. This is just, I could put bananas in here. I could put any words. It doesn't matter. This green is just comments, documentation. So it's not going to run. So what we need to do is find the macro. So if I come in here to macros, you'll see that I have these two, but honestly guys, I want to go back to the other file, the macro file. So I come down to my Excel, I click on Clemson. Now I'm going to go to macro. It's just cleaner, right? We're going to click on week label and we're going to edit. Oh, sorry, that's not true. Macros, options, because we want to change the sorry. Make sure you're sitting on week label. Options. Look, there's no shortcut key. Just because we copied it, it didn't, the shortcut doesn't come with it. And just because we put a comment in, it doesn't make it happen either. So we want to do a Shift W here. And then OK. Cancel. Go back to your name and do a Control Shift W, and there it works, because now we did that step that said, hey, we can use this key combination. Okay, so let's go back to our Clemson, and we're going to create a macro that prints a workbook. So the only thing here, guys, is it might, if you don't have a printer, this might cause a little issue. So we're going to record a macro, and let's just look through what we're going to record before we actually just start. Okay, so it's going to be print WB, so print workbook. Don't use a shortcut. Store it in this macro, and print all worksheets is the description. Okay, so that's just kind of the setup. Then what we're going to do, once that's done, this is the steps. These 3 steps are going to be recorded. So click the File tab, choose Print Entire Workbook, and then Print. Then stop the recording. So not too much that we have to record. So let's go ahead and try that. So first of all, we need to be in our macros. We're going to record a macro, and we're going to set all of this up. So it's going to be called Print WB. The key combination to execute it, we're not putting any in there. And the description is print all worksheets, period. Okay, once I hit OK, it's recording. So, okay, so File, Print, and look, I have mine set so it doesn't actually print out to a printer. So you can do the same thing where you can pick a file, print to file, if you don't have a printer or you don't want to print all these pages. So, because I don't want to print all these, it's a waste of resources. So right here where it says settings, where it says print all active, we're going to click and say print entire workbook. Okay, because it says right here print entire workbook. I'm going to click on the print. It did a print, but mine didn't print to the printer. It printed to, printed to Snagit. And then down at the bottom, I need to see my bottom of my screen, and I want to do stop recording. You can also just click right up here, stop recording, and we're done. So now if I look at macros, I have a typo. So I'm going to fix that. So options, darn it. Let's do it. I typed print. See if I change. Yay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop this movie and do the next one. Is probably can get through the rest of this. All right, thank you.